The Detroit Lions are entering one of the most fascinating transitional periods in franchise history, and it begins at the very top. The announcement that team president and CEO Rod Wood will retire before the 2026 season marks the end of an era that quietly reshaped the organization from the inside out. For over a decade, Wood served as the business architect behind the football renaissance now unfolding in Detroit. While fans naturally focus on touchdowns, draft picks, and playoff runs, the structural transformation of a franchise often begins in boardrooms and long-term planning sessions. Wood's tenure coincided with massive upgrades to facilities, modernization of team operations, and the successful bid to host the 2024 NFL Draft, which brought record-breaking crowds and national attention to the city. That event alone symbolized how far the franchise had come from being an afterthought to becoming a centerpiece of the league's future vision. What makes this retirement especially significant is the timing. The Lions are no longer rebuilding. They are contending. Stability at the executive level has been one of the hidden advantages fueling their rise. Wood's departure shifts even more responsibility onto owner Sheila Ford Hamp, general manager Brad Holmes, and head coach Dan Campbell, a trio widely credited with changing the culture of the franchise. The transition raises questions about continuity versus evolution. Will the next president maintain the same aggressive investment in infrastructure and analytics? Will business priorities shift as the team's on-field expectations grow? Championship windows in the NFL are fragile, and even front office changes can ripple into roster decisions, spending philosophy, and long-term planning. At the football level, the Lions face a complicated offseason shaped by financial realities. Being projected over the salary cap forces difficult decisions that test a contender's discipline. Veteran guard Graham Glasgow emerges as one of the most likely cap casualties. His versatility has been valuable, but the economics of the modern NFL are unforgiving, especially for aging linemen with declining performance. Moving on from Glasgow would signal a shift toward youth along the offensive line, possibly through the draft or cheaper free agent options. Offensive line continuity has been a pillar of Detroit's offensive identity, so even a single departure could alter protection schemes and run game efficiency. The situation surrounding left tackle Taylor Decker is even more delicate. Unlike Glasgow, Decker is still performing at a high level when healthy, but injuries and the mental toll of constant recovery have pushed him toward contemplating retirement. If he walks away, the Lions would not just lose a starter, they would lose a leader and tone setter in the locker room. Protecting the quarterback's blind side is one of the most critical roles in football, and replacing that stability is rarely seamless. The front office must weigh the immediate cap relief against the long-term cost of destabilizing the offense during a championship push. Then there is the emotionally complex case of running back David Montgomery. His situation illustrates the human side of roster management. Montgomery remains productive, respected, and deeply aligned with the team's physical identity, yet questions about his role and utilization have surfaced. General Manager Brad Holmes openly acknowledging the possibility of a trade if it benefits the player underscores a culture that values honesty and relationships. However, moving a veteran runner can also disrupt offensive rhythm and leadership dynamics. The Lions' offense thrives on physicality and balance. Losing Montgomery would place even greater pressure on the rest of the backfield and could reshape play-calling tendencies under the new offensive coordinator. Speaking of offensive evolution, Detroit's scouting focus heading into the 2026 NFL Combine reveals another strategic layer. Despite having an emerging star in Sam Laporta and reliable depth, the team is evaluating tight end prospects who can function in versatile multi-tight end formations. This aligns with coordinator Drew Petzing's preference for 13 personnel packages, a system that stresses defenses by forcing them to defend both power running and dynamic passing looks from the same formation. In today's NFL, positional flexibility is currency. Tight ends who can block like linemen and run routes like receivers create matchup nightmares and disguise offensive intentions. If the Lions invest in another tight end, it would signal a philosophical commitment to multiplicity on offense rather than reliance on star power alone. Depth at that position could allow Detroit to control tempo, dominate time of possession, and impose physicality late in games, a formula that travels well in playoff environments. It also protects against injuries, ensuring the offense doesn't collapse if one key piece is sidelined. Championship teams plan for December and March, and Detroit's scouting approach suggests a franchise thinking several moves ahead. In the middle of all these organizational and roster developments lies something less quantifiable but equally powerful: the bond between the team and its fan base. Stories of fans meeting players, remembering brief encounters, or cherishing autograph moments highlight how the Lions' resurgence has rekindled emotional investment across generations. The legacy of icons like Barry Sanders still echoes through the franchise, serving as a bridge between past heartbreak and present hope. Culture is not built solely through wins. It is built through connection, accessibility, and the sense that players represent the city as much as the uniform. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the Lions' future and want more breakdowns like this throughout the offseason, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a detailed analysis as new developments unfold. What makes this moment truly compelling is how all these threads intersect. Executive transition, salary cap pressure, roster uncertainty, and schematic evolution are converging at the exact moment expectations are highest. This is no longer a feel-good rebuilding story. It is a test of whether Detroit can sustain success. The next team president will inherit not a project, but a contender with Super Bowl aspirations. Every decision will be magnified, every misstep scrutinized, and every success celebrated as validation that the transformation is real. The Lions' leadership has preached grit, resilience, and calculated aggression, and now those principles will be tested in the most challenging phase of team building: staying on top. Maintaining competitiveness while navigating financial constraints and leadership change is the hallmark of elite organizations. If Detroit manages this transition smoothly, it could cement their status as a model franchise for years to come. If not, the window could narrow faster than anyone expects. As the offseason progresses, the story of the Detroit Lions will not just be about who they draft or sign, but about how they evolve as an organization. This is where contenders separate from champions, in the ability to adapt without losing identity. The foundation has been laid, the culture established, and the expectations raised. Now comes the hardest part: proving that the rise was not temporary, but the beginning of something enduring. If you believe this is the year Detroit takes the final step toward a championship, drop a comment with your prediction and share this video with another Lions fan who's been waiting their whole life for this moment.